I'm back, everyone. It's been a while since I've made a YouTube video. You know, life gets in the way sometimes. Tonight, though, I finished printing my Westar 35 for Motor City Comic Con. It's going to go with my new custom Mandalorian kit. So it's in black primer right now, which is typically what I do. And then the end has been printed with an orange tip. So I just, obviously painted it, or I mean, not painted it, but wrapped it with some masking tape so that I could paint the rest of it. So I don't paint my props like most people do. I mean, I'm sure some cosplay artists paint in the same way that I do. I'm just unsure, to be completely honest. But I use gilding paint is one of the things that I do. It gives it more of a metallic finish to it when you clear coat it and when you do a few other things to it. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to attempt to do a tutorial on this. I've never shown somebody really how I paint. I usually just put on music and go to town. But tonight I'm going to kind of show you a little bit. The other side of it too is that this gilding paint is not cheap. It's actually pretty expensive for the amount of it that you actually get. You can get it at like any kind of craft store. But what you can also do, and this may sound a little crazy, but everybody knows what a metallic Sharpie is. So the ink that's inside of this is no different than this, to be completely honest. So if you cut this off or pull the end, the sponge part of it out, the tip that you actually write with, you can dump it in something like this, and you can use your makeup sponges or, your cotton swabs, whatever you want to use. I typically don't use a paintbrush on a prop, and you'll see why in this video. It leaves brush strokes, where with a makeup sponge through like my special effects makeup and stuff that I used to do, I actually, by accident, learned how to do this. I didn't have any paintbrushes at the time, and so I just literally popped out one of my little wedge sponges that I used to do my special effects makeup with, and I started using it to paint the prop. And then when I got done, I was like, wow, that looks a lot better than with a paint job, Another thing is that a lot of from what I've seen, especially on like Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, is people using like rub and buff. It's okay, it's really good stuff, but the problem is it's wax based. So if you use any kind of clear coat on it or anything like that to try to protect the paint job, it will actually wear down faster, and when it chips off, it will chip off. Like it will literally chip off to the actual color of the prop. So I don't necessarily recommend that, to be completely honest. I do know of a few people who use it, and I'm not against it at all, so I don't want to like sound like that. It's just like something that I don't personally like to use. So and I'm going to also leave like links in my description and stuff to, like the gilding paint, where to find it. Typically on Amazon, to be completely honest, it's a lot cheaper. Makeup sponges, same thing, So if you look in my description, I'll have links to everything that I used tonight to do this, as well as the equipment that I used to film my YouTube videos. So, so getting started, typically what I like to do is I like to start from the tip of the barrel back, to be completely honest. And you don't have to really worry too much about how much of the gilding paint you actually use on it, because I'm going to show you a trick to when you're using this that's going to quite literally fix any of the spots that are a little too much. I know a lot of people do like the weathering and stuff on their weapons. I'm also going to show you how to do that without actually having to do it, to be honest. You actually can do that with primer, like black primer. Instead of like gray washing it or black washing it and going through those steps, it's actually a lot easier if you're using, like I said, this gilding, ink stuff that I use as paint. You can actually just hold the prop in your hand, and you can mist it with some black paint, and then use this. The makeup sponge will absorb into the extra, and you can actually just rub it right down into the spots that you need to, and you can rub off the excess before it dries. So it's a much faster process to paint. I think it took me like maybe 35 minutes to paint my helmet. Doing this kind of a technique, and it didn't turn out too bad. There's a couple other videos on my YouTube channel showing my old helmet, so you guys can go ahead and check those out. But to get started, you definitely want to use gloves when you're doing this, because if this paint gets on you, it's really horrible to get off, to be completely honest. I typically use, the mechanic style latex, or not latex, but nitrile gloves. They don't break as easy, to be completely honest. I got big meat hooks, so regular size gloves don't really fit. And these have like a textured grip to them too, which doesn't really matter in this particular type of situation, I guess. But you know. And also, like, I also like to hear like what you guys like, techniques you guys use too. You know, like I'm not the best out there, so you know I say that all the time in my YouTube videos. So I like to learn too from other people, you know, and their experiences. So the cool thing about this is you don't need a lot of it. That's the biggest part of it. Don't go dumping it on the prop and all of that. You know, what I do is I like to shake it up and I just use the cap. That's it. Like, I don't pour any extra into it or anything like that. That amount of paint in this cap that was just from the splash is enough to do quite a bit on this prop, to be completely honest. So if you just literally take the makeup sponge and you stick it into the gilding ink, and you know, as you can see on the other camera, you know, when you touch this onto this prop, it literally starts to make it look metallic almost instantaneously, you know, and you can literally see we're just starting to rub it. It brings more of a metallic feel to it instead of a paint feel to it. It makes it seem like it's made out of metal, you know, and it's just a technique that I've learned when I was doing movie stuff, to be completely honest, making movie props. And you can also hit, like if you notice, like on the edges and things like that, you can see that you can hit those edges more with a makeup sponge than you can with a paintbrush, you know. And it like just gives you more of a metallic feel to it, to be completely honest. As you can see in this video right here, sorry, I have another video camera up here. So, you know, as you can see right here, let me see if I can get that right. You're starting to see like a metallic look to the actual prop itself, where with paint, you don't get that effect. You just don't, you know. This is actually, gilding paint is what they use to do like silver leafing or gold leafing, bronze leafing that you see on like objects and stuff. It's just without using the foil, to be completely honest. So, but this bottle this will paint almost an entire Mando kit. This one little bottle. So it really doesn't take a lot, like I said. You know, as you can see, I'm just using this cap, and I've already got almost the whole front of it done, or the whole one side. I mean, I'm sorry. And I like to hit the whole, like before I start doing any of the actual process of making it look, you know, more worn or anything like that. I like to paint the whole thing first, you know, and then it looks more battle worn already, and I haven't even done any of the actual damage yet to it. And then I'm going to use, I don't have any of the bronze or the gold gilding paint, so I am going to use the Sharpie, and I will show you how to do that. It's not the best idea in the world to use, but when you're in a pinch, like I had these laying around, so it's the only reason why, like I said, I wanted to use it for you guys tonight. Also, if you have to run and do something in the middle of painting, close it, because the paint's gonna, this stuff dries up really quick. Like as soon as you touch the prop, it's dry. So, you know, you can actually clear coat it or paint it right away. Like you don't have to worry about waiting a long time or anything like that, you know, to do any kind of anything to it, to be completely honest. But once this looks metallic, then we'll go back and I will kind of like touch up the little areas that I want to make different colors and things like that, you know. So just wanted to see what kind of, like, how much of a difference it is going into it, to be honest. So. And then also with the makeup sponge, you can see, like, you can really get into these areas and you can touch against it like that. And you can see in the other camera view, you know, you can get in there pretty good without getting it on the actual handle or whatever, in case you wanted to do the handle a different color. And in this particular case, I'm going to do the whole thing the same color. I'll go back in here and probably change the color of the grip maybe, but I want the handle itself to look metal. So, you know. And then also, like, the makeup techniques, don't rub it, like, dab it, you know. And when you do that, you can see on this other camera, the lighting is probably not very good, to be completely honest. But you can see, and I will actually take a couple pictures of this, and I will, at the end of this video, I will post the pictures at the end of the video so you can kind of see what it actually looks like in the light. You know, I apologize, guys. This is actually my new setup for my YouTube channel, so this is the first video that I'm making here. So I really don't know how it's going to turn out, so it's going to tell me what I have to do as far as lighting goes and all of that. So just kind of bear with me. And yeah, I know it seems repetitive to have to screw it on, unscrew it, but you know, it's worth it at the end. And like I said, I already have this whole side has already got the first coat of it on it. And like I said, do light coats because, you know, sometimes like when I'm doing this, like I end up liking it with like a darker look to it where it's like, looks like it's old, like used. You know what I mean? Like, you know, almost like a gunpowder look, even though we know Star Wars weapons don't use gunpowder, you know, but it has that grungy feel to it, you know. It's actually turning out I like that color. I haven't, just so you guys know, I haven't done this in a really long time. So I was a little nervous doing this tonight, to be honest. But the way that it's already starting to look, I'm really liking it. I'm really digging it. You know, I might not even clear coat it, to be honest. Like, I don't think I'm going to have to. If I do, I might use like a matte clear, maybe. I don't typically like shiny props to go with my Mando cosplays because, you know, I don't really think that they would have anything shiny, to be honest, you know, with the type of stuff that they do. I'm actually super excited too. I'll probably be making another video tomorrow because the Whimsy cosplay order that I told you guys about a month ago was actually the last video I made. That'll be here tomorrow. So I'll have to do, you know, like a reveal video and, you know, try it all on, see if it all fits, see what it looks like, let you guys know. I'm actually super stoked about it. I ordered the vest, and then, you know, they totally hooked me up with flight suit too. So I'm actually super excited to see that, to be honest. This side of the gun actually is starting to look better than the other side already. And as far as like the other parts, I don't really know if I want to do it. Like, I don't typically know when once you get to it being like this, like it's time to like set it down and grab a new one, to be honest. Because what's going to happen is the paint is not going to look the same. It's going to start being a little darker or changing a little bit because you're soaking up, when you use this kind of stuff, you're actually, you're almost soaking up a little bit of the black from the primer. You know, I don't know, when I spray it with the final coat of primer, I use a primer and paint, like an actual black paint with primer made into it as my last coat before I start to do this. So it's actually like more smooth and it typically sometimes does come off a little bit on the sponge, which is fine because it just like auto mixes into the auto mixes. It kind of gets onto the sponge. Sorry guys, it's been a really long day. But you know, I'm actually really excited about all this, and I'm actually, you can hear my 3D printer in the background. I'm almost done printing the Assault Jetpack too for the custom Mandalorian that I'm doing. I cannot wait to show that to you guys. It's gonna look so amazing, to be honest. Like I'm so excited for that build, you know, and I will probably make a video of the build, the entire build through the whole process, because the last jetpack that I did went together fairly easy. I didn't want to really make a video about it, to be honest. It was a really simple jetpack, but this one is like way different. Like it's got a lot of different components and pieces, a bunch of different rockets and stuff that go on it, and things like that. So it's going to be kind of wild a little bit. Once it gets done too, I'm going to see about possibly putting some electronics into it. So we'll see if I end up having time to do that before Comic-Con this year at Motor City. If I do, then it'll be done. If not, then I'll do it after. You know, you got to sacrifice sometimes different parts of your costume. Sometimes when you're running against the clock. So as you can see, I don't know if you can really see it in this other camera, but yeah, you can. So in these areas, like typically when someone is blackwashing a prop, you know, they're using paint mixed in with water, you know, and then they're kind of like rubbing it into it to make it fill the areas. The cool thing about using a makeup sponge is the sponge will not get in those areas. So when I go over it like this, it naturally already does what the black wash does. So it saves a ton of time, you know, when you're doing a prop. And like when I was working on movies and stuff, like you don't have a lot of time. There was times where, you know, I have like 3 or 4 different backup props, and you know, 1 or 2 of them weren't painted, and I had to paint them really super fast on set, spray them with a primer, with a clear coat, use a heat gun to heat it up enough to where it just tacked and it was able to be handled. You know, it sucks, you know. But like, this gun is almost already done, to be honest, in that little bit of time. You know, I don't really think I'm going to need to put another coat of the silver on it, though, to be honest. You know, I kind of really do like the way that it turned out without it. And then like even the back and stuff, I don't really want to put a lot of paint on the inside in these certain areas, because you know it kind of already has that feel of it being metallic and metal without, you know, and it being worn, you know. I mean, it definitely looks metal. You can see that and that. Yeah. Let's see if you can get it on this one. Sorry, guys. So that it has that feel already to it, to where it feels real. It already has the worn areas, the different colors, you know, and the silver went on that fast, and it's done. You know, as you can see in this video up here, sorry guys, I keep looking at the other camera so I can see it. But, you know, and then what we're going to do is I'm thinking that I want to use bronze, to be completely honest. You know, for the trigger, I know that sounds weird maybe, but like this bronze for like the trigger, and then this part of the gun too, and maybe some of the little components, you know, just to highlight them a little bit, you know. So what you do is you actually can take a glass container like this, and then I think I have, let me see, I think I have a pair of pliers in here somewhere. I do not, of course. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do this not in the way that I normally would, but I'm going to cut into it just like this. Just kind of open it up a little bit. I would not recommend doing it this way, just so you guys know. Usually I would use a pair of pliers, but like I said, I just moved into this shop, so I don't have it completely set up yet. What you want to try to do is you want to try to get that sponge out that's in there. And then you can use that in order to tap into it with, let's see if I can get it out. There we go. I'm going to pull this out of it. And then what you're going to do is, I like to use a cotton swab, and you're just going to take the cotton swab and you're just going to stick it right in here like that. Stick that in a glass jar. Watch touching anything, but as you can see on this other video, you can, or this other camera I mean, you can lightly see it soaked right into the sponge. But you know, like different parts of the gun, you don't want them to be super bright and super shiny. You want it to where the light hits it just perfect. You can see the difference in the color and stuff. And that's the difference between like a decent paint job and like a paint job that's super, super rushed. You can actually squeeze this and you can see the material, the gold, or I mean the bronze, I'm sorry, coming out. And then you just use this, almost like using the Sharpie, the way that it's meant to be used, but you're going to see very soon why you don't want to use that tip on the thing. You can do this and then grab a new makeup sponge, and you can actually do this, and it will rub. It'll rub it right in, just like that. Let me see. Yeah, you can see it on camera. So you can see, doing it like that, actually, it automatically did the blackening with it, with the makeup sponge, that quick, just going, and then when the light hits it, you can definitely see that it's a different color. So I want it to be a little darker than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze this a little bit, and I'm going to put a little bit more on it. And then that's all you do. See, I'm putting a little line on it like this, as you can see in the video. And then you just take the makeup sponge, and you just do that. And you can see that it blends it right in. And now it's about exactly where I want it to be. And see, sometimes you may get a little extra on the outside. It's really easy to fix. Just take your makeup sponge with the silver on it and just touch it. Gone. So that side is completely done. And you get that different color. And then this side, same process. You know, you just repeat the same steps as the other side. And any of the other stuff that you want to paint like that too. So you can go in here and hit some of the detail a little bit more. We already know that I need to use more of this in order to get the coloring that I want. So I'm just going to do it right off the bat. Go in here, hit that up with some of this makeup sponge, and look, it took it right out. And then I was able to actually rub the excess off that time, right off the silver. So you're getting that same effect in the different color very quickly on the blaster pistol. So it's actually turning out really well very quickly. So I think I don't even think I'm going to change the grip, to be honest. I kind of like that gritty look, you know, on the blaster pistol. And but I definitely do want to hit the trigger though, and I definitely want to hit that with the bronze because I do actually like the way that looks, that worn look a little bit, you know. Excuse me. So once you use that enough, you should probably use a new one with a different part of the gun. And then, like I said, you just literally squeeze the thing, and it turns. It's just like this. It's like an ink, you know. And then you can go right in here, and you can hit the trigger and stay a little bit away from the back side of it. And as you can see, I left some room in there So when I come in here and I hit this with the makeup sponge, you can see, you know, it already made it solid. And then you'll get that blackening look to it as well by just rubbing it more. You know, you're essentially rubbing it until you get down to the paint that you already had, instead of adding more paint to it. Now, earlier I said that you can use, you know, the spray actual black paint to fix parts of it. You can, like if I wanted to right now, I could take a can of black, like either it's satin or black, flat black, and you can hold this in your hand and you can mist it. Like if you put way too much of the silver on it or it looks too bright on one side, you can go through and actually spray it and turn it, not a solid coat, but just mist it just a tiny bit, and then you can take a makeup sponge and just go like this, and it'll take all the excess off, and it'll actually give it a really nice, cool look. As you can see in this other camera, the trigger actually looks a little worn. It's definitely the same color as this, has a very similar wear pattern, you know, as the actual little coil inside of it. I believe that is the actual power cell for the blaster. I have no idea, to be completely honest. I didn't design this blaster. There's actually some phenomenal makers, you know, out there, like on Etsy with STL files and things like that. Some of the other builds that I'm doing can actually, the whole custom Mandalorian build that I'm doing is one of the best probably STL file makers that I've ever met online, to be completely honest. And when I go to do those parts of the build, I will definitely be putting a shout out to him into their shop. The jetpack as well, you know. These guys are just phenomenal, you know what I mean? So, all right, so there we go. I think that we're already done. Just want to touch this up a little bit here because I got a little bit of the bronze on the back part of the thing. So here is the end result. It looks pretty BA, you know? Yeah, I said that. I'm old. You know, pardon me, guys. So anyways, the point is that it looks real, you know, in most senses anyway. So, you know, you don't really need to put a clear coat on it or anything like that. It turned out pretty good. I'm going to take some pictures of this and put it at the end of this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, guys. Maybe comment in the comment section about, you know, different ways that you guys paint props and stuff like that. You know, it's a community. You know what I mean? We all learn from each other. So I hope you enjoyed what you saw today. Hopefully it helps you with a project that you're working on, you know, and stay safe.